Gure, earlier you have chosen the softest day for your arrival here because it is International Women's Day. I believe women would make the life very soft, but only husbands will understand how hard it could be. However, on Women's Day at least they will be very soft to their spouses. Very, very hearty welcome to the delegation, Director Finance and the Secretary from the Embassy, plus all our delegates, more so student representatives over here. I'm very impressed with whatever you have spoken. I'm also impressed with the efforts of Zimbabwe. But the efforts of Zimbabwe should not stop here. We should not be happy with their first degree. First degree will definitely make them good enough to take up the responsibility of Zimbabwe, but it is only the present responsibility. But what Zimbabwe has got to think is the future of Zimbabwe and building up of the future of Zimbabwe, for which the present generation should become the future architects of Zimbabwe, for which higher education, higher and higher education is a must. Therefore, I'm sure you should take it up as a serious policy matter to just continue at least 20% of these people to graduate themselves into higher master's degree and later into PhD also. We should not stop here. We should not just absorb them back into Zimbabwe for your immediate needs. What is more important is an investment into Zimbabwe. I'm very sure being executive director and being the chief director, you should take a strong note of this and you should be able to convince your ministry and your parliament about the importance of future of Zimbabwe, not the present of Zimbabwe. The other point which I really liked was the beautiful amalgamation of the ideas of our Honorable Chancellor and your Executive Director. While our Chancellor looked at the reason that they should have the cultural exploration by socializing themselves with Indian friends, your Executive Director was one step ahead. It is not just only cultural amalgamation. He also mentioned that these students, by amalgamating, should be able to see the local problems and visualize how the local problems are solved using the local solving strategies, which really would mean, because that really implies the transfer of knowledge. What a wonderful combination, what a wonderful amalgamation. This point also should be very highly, should be appreciated. The third most important point, which I just wanted to mention, if the growth has been going so successful, and if your executive director and chief director have been so proud that India and Zimbabwe should continue as brothers, this should not stop over here. We should be able to convince our parliament establishing Indo-Zimbabwe University at Zimbabwe, where Vignan should definitely be able to lay out and bring out the foundations. Okay, this should happen. So the 3 points which I just wanted to underline is number 1, which I mentioned earlier. The first was, do not stop supporting the students. Just do not stop at their first degree. Please identify them, put them into their second degree, put them into PhDs also, because it is not just immediate Zimbabwe which is of importance. It is Zimbabwe after 50 years from now, which has got to be the hallmark. Therefore, the executive director, the learned executive director, the learned chief director, and the team has got to impress the government, has got to impress the Zimbabwe government. Surely, I am very sure, irrespective of the party, India will be always receptive. India will definitely remain receptive, whichever the party will be at the center. You need not worry about that. Point number 2, as I mentioned, that it has got to be the cultural integration, not only cultural integration as Honorable Chancellor puts it, but it has got to be the integration to further enhancing the learning. The last point, which I have just mentioned, is establishing a very good joint education venture, Indo-Zimbabwe education venture, which should lead into Indo-Zimbabwe joint university, international university in Zimbabwe. I'm very, very sure that the team will think ahead of time. It is not our lifetime. We are here to create the next life, and therefore, next lifetime has got to be more important. If the next generation has got to remember what has been the foundation left by the previous generation, this is the one which we have got to live. I'm very sure these are going to be these young boys and girls are going to be the bridges who would connect this generation to their next generation. That's how the Zimbabwe shall grow. Very happy day, very happy soft day on this day. I congratulate all Zimbabwean students. I also congratulate all my team who have just seen that Zimbabwe students spontaneously could present such a wonderful information, which is a great sharing. I'm very happy that executive director and chief director are over here along with other office members. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day.